Hi, I'm Lyssa DeHart, and I am here today with Kirsten, and we are talking more about the ICF credentialing exam. And so, Kirsten, I'm going to toss it over to you so you can get us started on what we're going to be exploring in this conversation.
So in this conversation, we're going to be talking about how to prepare for the content of the credentialing exam. So what can you do to really familiarize yourself with the core competencies, with the code of ethics, to be able to choose the best and the worst answer to the scenarios that ICF gives us. So maybe we introduce ourselves if you haven't watched the other video for a short introduction.
So, all right, I'm Lyssa DeHart. I'm a coach, MCC coach. I have an academy, and I've been working with the ICF credentialing exam since June of 2022, really supporting people to learn all the things that they need to learn in order to be able to successfully pass this exam so that they can get that shiny new credential that they've earned and they want so badly. And so that's a little bit about me. Kirsten, you want to introduce yourself?
And likewise, I also have a coach training school, and I'm also passionate, and it's our mission in life to get good coaches credentials as easily and successfully as possible. And I have been so impressed with this as content, and people who are coming to our courses are saying, yeah, we're using the Solutions Academy content, and we're also using Lyssa's content. And I think it's just such a wonderful combination that I'm very happy that we can collaborate on this little video series and give you snippets of our bigger offers so that you can go and explore later on and have everything at your fingertips. So I don't know, Lyssa, would you like to start us off? What do you think is the best way to prepare?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the reality is one of the things that I highly recommend when preparing for understanding this content is, one, that you understand that there's actually a lot of content that you're going to need to be learning. And it isn't a knowledge-based exam where you're going to just be able to memorize like all this stuff and be able to regurgitate it. This is an exam, a situational judgment exam works in a very different way. So if any of you have ever been first responders, you may have had training a little bit like this. And if you've not been a first responder, you probably haven't had this sort of training. But I'm really reminded of like the Navy SEAL training, where what they do is they have a bag that comes down over their head. Bag comes up. New situation. They have to make a very quick assessment about the best or worst thing to do in any given moment. Bag comes down, bag goes up, brand new scenario in front of them. And my experience of this exam is that every scenario is unique. And every answer set, you could have the same answer set on a different scenario, and it might be just slightly different. And it's going to change. What worked on one scenario is not going to work on the next scenario. And so Kirsten and I had talked about this when we were talking about doing this. One of the things that I think is so important is that you give yourself time to begin to really embody your understanding of the ICF competencies, code of ethics, interpretive statements. I personally love the PCC markers because they're the behavioral indicators of the competencies. So those are the things, and also when to refer to therapy. I mean, these are like the 4 primary documents that I think you need to be spending a lot of time with. Like, love them, like sleep with them, put them under your pillow, spend a lot of time pillow talking these 4 documents.
I think that ties in with something that we also said in our prep talk, which is there is no hack. So if there is someone out there telling you, come to my course, pay blah, 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 exuberant amount of money, and I will prepare you and give you 2 hacks that will make you pass the exam. I'd be a little bit wary. I don't think that hack exists. You really have to be a good coach. You have to know the content, and you can't do it with a strategy. So I think content preparation is very, very important.
Yeah, I have a couple of acronyms, but honestly, I'm very clear. These are rules of thumb. These are not absolutes. In our earlier video, or the other video, we talk about this idea of, you're going to have this answer set in front of you. Reading through it first, you may be able to figure some things out, but you're going to have to read past the ask that are going to be on the answer sets. So I have been playing with this exam really since June of 2022, before it even came out. And I'll be honest with you, I have not found a hack, and I have had over 5,500 people at this point go through my programs. And honestly, I have people come back to my course and share forward what they've learned every month on my live calls. And so far, there's been no hack. There's been rules of thumb that have been useful, but I haven't heard one hack that has been like, that's the one. It answers it perfectly every time. It just doesn't exist.
I think for preparation, really interacting with the material that Lyssa just mentioned is very important. So the PCC markers, the ACC and MCC bars, or the minimum skills requirements document that you can also find on the ICF website, is very interesting, because in the minimum skill requirement document, you also have a paragraph that says, an applicant will not pass if. And a lot of people have problems with finding the worst answer. And if you read an applicant will not pass if you read those, that is probably going to give you some hints for the worst, identifying the worst answer, because it's just so not normal for coaches to look for what is the worst thing to do. It's like, it's not in our coaching DNA in a way. So a lot of people struggle with that, and that can help you, I think.
Yeah, I think that's genius. I think that's such a great idea that you're looking at it in that way, because I mean, you're right. We're often not taught how to think of like the worst case scenario. Like, in a scenario, what's the best and the worst? I often hear, and you probably do too, the best is far easier for most people. And the worst is the harder part. I think also one of the things that I think is really useful is if you're going through Solutions Academy and reading their scenarios and answer sets, or you're going through my program and reading the scenarios and answer sets, you don't have to agree with us. But why are you not agreeing? Like, I want to see you thinking. I want to see you thinking about your argument for why this was actually better or actually worse. And even if you get it right, even if you're correct in your choice, why were you correct? Why was the best, and why was the worst? Because this means you're having to really suss it out in your head as to best and worst. And again, I had somebody in one of the classes I was teaching for an ICF chapter, and we were just going through the 8 scenarios that ICF gave us. And one of the answers was, I don't remember what the scenario was, but the answer was, take a breath and remember. I think it was the scenario where the client didn't follow through on stuff. And take a breath and remember it's the client's work to do, something to that effect. And I asked, well, that was the right choice. Why did you choose that? And the coach said, because I would take a breath and that's how I would coach. And I said, okay, well, let's do it again. Say now, all 4 of those start with coach takes a breath and then the next thing. At that point, the coach didn't have a clue how she was choosing. And I think that was crucially important, because you need to understand why you're choosing it, even when you choose correctly.
that will help you to really understand the core competencies. And I mean, I know our exam is far from perfect. It's just not in our minds. We can't. The scenarios in our exam are shorter than the ones in the real exam, and it's just because we couldn't come up with these kind of difficult to read scenarios. But
I definitely have been told by numerous people that when they go through my sample scenarios, they're the closest thing to the actual exam, because I have been like thinking about it, but it's hard. I mean, these things are hard to come up with, you know?
Indeed. One possibility to interact with the material that I have found useful is using an AI, so ChatGPT or any of the others. Feed it the core competencies, feed it the PCC markers, feed it the code of ethics, and then say, please write a scenario and give me best and worst answers. Just for practice. And ChatGPT can actually do that. Yeah. And of course, what ChatGPT thinks is the best answer is probably not the best answer, but it just helps you to interact with the material. Other people, I have heard, they created a recording and listened to the ICF core competencies, and if you learn better by hearing things or by speaking things. I had people who created like these very old-fashioned flashcards. Some people did like this game memory where you have you write down the core competency, and then you write the PCC markers, and then you sort them. You can do that in Mural, or you can do it with actual cards. So just any way that is half fun for you to interact with the material, being creative with that, and taking it seriously as an exam, I think is very important. It's hard to just pass out of your education and goodness of your coaching heart.
Yeah, honestly, I've heard of a few people who have like studied for a couple nights and then passed the exam, but I would say that they sort of like won the lottery on exam taking. And so like that is the anomaly. I think the fact that we've got the ACC credentialing exam coming out is a big indicator that ACCs especially have been struggling with this exam. I know people going for PCC and MCC have been struggling with this exam. So it's not do not take this exam lightly. You will be sad, because unless maybe you're that lottery winner, you're going to wish that you had spent a bit more time. On the other hand, even taking it and not passing it, it's either a pass or it's practice. So like, yeah, it's $105 to retake it. My thought to you would be this: how much have you invested in your coaching education to this point? This is coaching education to prepare for this exam. So if you have to spend another $105, yes, it's painful, but honestly, in the big scheme of things, it's probably not the most horrible thing to ever happen. That said, I hope you pass the first time.
Other things that I've heard people do is find a study buddy or a prep group.
Yeah, study buddies are awesome.
So you could make up by yourself 8, 9, 10 scenarios, and then the other person could make up 8, 9. If you're a group of 3 or 4, everybody could be prepared and create 10 scenarios, and then you have 40 scenarios to work with and to discuss and to think about, and to, as Lyssa said, really to understand why are you choosing this, and maybe even do this with a mentor, someone who is very familiar with the ICF core competencies and can give you advice in your exchange session. So just, whatever gets you very familiar, I think is going to help you pass And as Lyssa does, I'm also hoping you're going to be passing the first time around. And if not, it's practice.
Yeah, just practice. Well, you guys, I hope these videos have been of help to you. And Kirsten, it was wonderful to hang out with you today. I keep trying to throw your R in front of your I. This is dyslexia. I apologize for that. And it's been it's been such a pleasure to spend some time with you. And to everybody watching, we definitely wish you every success on your exam.
Go, go, go.